Hello, my name is Michael Spaeth and I'm the current planning principal planner for the town of Oro Valley. Thank you for tuning in to the second step in this extended public outreach process. This process has been kicked off in response to a property owner's application for a general plan amendment and rezoning on a site near you, the vacant golf club at Vistoso. I hope everyone has had a chance to view the first informational video posted on ovprojects.com on April 10th. A link to the April 10th video can be found in the YouTube description for this video. If you haven't, I would encourage you to do so first. Today we will be building on information provided in that first video. As promised in the first video, the questions and comments received at ask@orovalleyaz.gov by April 23rd serve as the foundation for this one. If the number of views and questions and comments provided to date are a good indicator, it appears the first video has been helpful. The April 10th informational video has been viewed approximately 1,400 times and has generated over 1,000 questions and comments so far. It appears use of video has been a good vehicle to get information out and garner responses. These videos are not, I emphasize not, a replacement for in-person neighborhood meetings. Our goal is to continue hosting multiple opportunities to participate, including in-person neighborhood meetings in August and September if it is safe to do so. So where are we in the process? Currently, we have completed the first informational video and have received the first round of your comments and questions. Today, we are addressing those questions and comments. On May 14th, we will host an online interactive Zoom meeting to receive additional questions and comments about the project. I will provide more information about that later in the video. Following that meeting, we will be conducting focus area meetings. Due to the size of the property, 4 focus area meetings with groups of neighborhoods will be conducted from late May through June. Additional neighborhood meetings will be held in August and September, and again, will be in person if it is safe to do so. Public hearings for the Planning and Zoning Commission and Town Council will be held in October through December. Here are the steps we're going to follow in this video. First, I will provide a very brief background summary, including an overview of the property owner's proposal. This is covered more extensively in the April 10th video posted on ovprojects.com by the applicant representing the property owner, Ms. Linda Morales of the Planning Center. As a reminder, this is not the town's proposal, and it is the applicant's charge to justify amendments to the Your Voice, Our Future general plan and zoning. Secondly, as promised in the first video posted on April 10th at ovprojects.com, the questions and comments the town received through April 23rd serve as the foundation for responses by the applicant and staff in this video. Again, we received approximately 1,100 questions and comments and identified the most frequently asked and grouped them into similar categories. From those categories, we developed a hybrid question or questions that best encapsulate the topic. I will guide us through each with a response from the applicant and other key town staff members as appropriate. Written responses to frequently asked questions will be posted on this project's page on ovprojects.com. Lastly, we will review next steps and invite you to continue to provide your questions and comments on ask@orovalleyaz.gov. First, I'd like to orient everyone with respect to the subject property. The property is approximately 202 acres, bounded on the east by Rancho Vistoso Boulevard, the south by Desert Fairways Drive, the west La Cañada Drive, and on both sides of Vistoso Highlands Drive on the north. You can see the old clubhouse along Vistoso Highlands Drive, Splendido to the east, and Innovation Academy on Desert Fairways Drive for additional context. Now that we are familiar with the property location, I want to take a brief moment to explain the applicant's proposal. The ultimate request is to enable development of a senior care facility, including independent living, several types of residential development, including detached single-family residential, townhomes, and fourplexes, as well as open space on the vacant golf course property. The applicant also has a second scenario where detached single-family residential is proposed in place of the senior care facility and independent living. To accomplish either scenario, they need to process 2 applications, a general plan amendment to the land use map and a planned area development amendment or rezoning. These 2 applications are expected to run concurrently. The general plan amendment involves a request to change the rec/golf course designation to medium density residential and high density residential to accommodate the proposed uses. The second scenario would request a change to only medium-density residential. The rezoning request is to change the golf course/recreation designation to medium-density residential, medium-high-density residential, and high-density residential to accommodate the proposed uses. Again, the second scenario would only request a change to medium-density residential and medium-high-density residential. These applications will be reviewed for conformance with the general plan and Rancho Vistoso planned area development. As part of that review, staff is aware of some key items that will need to be addressed, including impacts to views, compatibility with surrounding neighborhoods, including appropriate transitions, impacts to open space and traffic, among others. Again, we received approximately 1,100 questions and comments and identified the most frequently asked and grouped them into similar categories. From those categories, we developed a hybrid question or questions that best encapsulate the topic. I will guide us through each with a response from the applicant and other key town staff members as appropriate. And now to your questions. As promised in the first video, the questions and comments the town received by April 23rd serve as the foundation for this one. We posted all of your questions and comments on ovprojects.com and did our best to group each one into similar categories. From those categories, we developed 11 hybrid questions and comments to encapsulate topics that you'll see in the coming slides as shown on the screen. We will now proceed through each one. The applicant will address all project-specific questions, and it is the applicant's charge to justify the proposed general plan and rezoning amendments and address all compatibility and infrastructure issues. Oro Valley staff will focus on answering questions and concerns regarding process and technical information. I will read each question, and Ms. Linda Morales and Peter Olbaum or the appropriate town staff member will follow with a response. The first 6 questions and comments are for Ms. Morales and Peter Olbaum. The first question is, who is Romspen Vistoso LLC and how did they get involved with the property? And what are their objectives?
Thank you, Mr. Spaeth. Romspen is a non-bank lender based in Toronto, Canada. They invest exclusively in real estate via first mortgages. In 2014, Romspen foreclosed on a portfolio of golf courses they had mortgages on due to the borrower defaulting. Vistoso was one of those. Contrary to some of the statements that have been made by the public, Romspen did not purchase the course out of bankruptcy, did not plan to own this golf course, and certainly didn't set out to operate a course or become a land developer when they made the investment. They own it because they were forced to foreclose on the property and because there were no other bids at the foreclosure auction. Of the 8 courses Romspen foreclosed on, it still owns 7 of them, and all but Vistoso remain open. Furthermore, only one other course has had any rezoning at all, and in that case, a small area was rezoned while the course remained intact and operating. From 2014 to 2018, Romspen invested significant sums into capital expenditures and maintenance of the golf course, trying to turn the golf course profitable. They were able to improve the performance of the course, but they were not able to prevent it from losing significant amounts of money every year. Again, to clear up misconceptions, as I said in the last presentation, Romspen listed the property for sale publicly with one of the country's top golf course brokers for over a year, but was not able to generate one credible offer. I previously made the statement that they did not have any credible offers, which I should clarify was during that sales process. After closing the course and working with the community to find a buyer, Romspen did in fact have 2 separate offers on the property, both of which Romspen accepted. However, neither of those parties were able to close on the transaction. Romspen was ready, willing, and able to close in both cases, and the decision to terminate was made by the purchaser in both cases. All that leads up to the scenario where we are today. Romspen is seeking to develop selective portions of the former golf course property in exchange for the dedication of the remaining property to the public. This proposal is intended to get them out of the ownership of the property and recoup some of their losses, but in no way will it make them whole.
So the second comment is a frequent one we received. Please do not allow any development on the Vistoso golf property.
Again, we would like to come to a resolution in which Romspen can develop a portion of the former golf course and dedicate the balance of the site to the public. Right now, the property is being used by residents for recreation, despite the fact it is private property and clearly signed no trespassing. Dedication of the 115 acres of land would make it truly a public amenity in perpetuity and a place where the community can recreate and enjoy open space. If not, the property will stay in limbo, continue to deteriorate, and be closed to the public. Home values declined when the golf course closed. Nothing can be done about that. Home values will continue to be impacted simply by virtue of the fact that there's a lack of certainty as to what will be there in the future. The best thing we can do to restore value at this time is to provide certainty as to what will happen in the future. It is our belief that a truly unique amenity such as a 115-acre linear trail system can go a long way to restoring that value. We believe ultimately there are more people out there that walk and enjoy nature than there are golfers. More importantly, there are more people out there that want to live on or next to a public amenity that they can enjoy than there are that want to live on or next to a closed golf course. The pool of buyers for real estate grows in our estimation, as do home values, particularly when considering the alternative. Ultimately, everything we are contemplating herein is, in our opinion, better for home values than uncertainty as to what will happen in the future.
The third question is, what measures can minimize impacts on nearby homeowners, especially their property values? Please address the following: loss of open space, new homes on the golf course, the senior care use in a residential area, including viability and demand for senior care uses, noise pollution, light pollution, emergency vehicles and delivery truck traffic, view preservation and building heights, buffer yards and transitions between existing and proposed land uses, drainage and stormwater.
We are certainly sympathetic to the fact that many of you bought homes expecting the golf course to be there forever. Unfortunately, golf is an industry on the decline. Fewer people are playing and costs continue to rise, especially the cost of water. Over 100 courses closed in the US last year, so this situation is playing out across the country. Property values are an extremely important concern here, and here to address it is Mr. Peter Allebaum of Romspen.
I think it's a mistake here to view the present through the lens of the past. We can't address the loss of value that occurred as a result of the course closing almost 2 years ago. The closure of the golf course happened, and were it not for Romspen subsidizing the operation for 4 years, it would have closed 4 years earlier. Nobody was more vocal about the impact of a closed course on property values in the community than Romspen was. We were quite forward with the stakeholders as to the challenges and the consequences of inaction, most notably the potential loss of home values in the area. We understand that loss of value is real. But today, the questions about value are about two potential scenarios. Home values with a dead golf course and all the uncertainty as to what may happen on this land in the future, versus values with a partial redevelopment that will provide certainty for the future, a cherished amenity that can be utilized by everyone, not just golfers or trespassers, and a model for similar communities across the country facing similar issues. Our belief is that homes that abut a public amenity of 115 acres that provides so many opportunities for interacting with nature will benefit home values in the area. Instead of living on a dead golf course with no visibility as to what may happen in the future, people's homes will be part of a revived community that enjoys truly a one-of-a-kind amenity. In the choice between living in a failed golf course community and living in one that enjoys a 115-acre public amenity that will never be developed, we know which has greater value.
We know that homeowners have already seen declines in their property values due to the course closure. There are other people who are ready to sell their homes, but know that the uncertainty of what is going to happen to this land is currently affecting the price they will get for their homes. And there are people who had to sell who have unfortunately already experienced a loss. Resolving what to do with this land and moving forward with the balance of development and open space will help stabilize the neighborhood and bring certainty and resolution for the community.
Again, We cannot address the loss of value that occurred as a result of the closure of the golf course. We were quite forward with the stakeholders for years as to the challenges we faced and the potential loss of values to homeowners in the area that would result if we were forced to close. We understand that loss of value is real. We believe that the way to mitigate that loss, and in many cases restore the value, is through a plan which creates a cherished amenity. Every study we have ever seen shows that golf courses are utilized by less than 25% of the residents that live around them. An amenity such as the one we're discussing could be utilized by everyone. While future buyers of homes may not be the same ones that sought to be behind a green or beside a tee box, there are many more buyers out there that would prefer to be beside a multi-use path, a fitness trail, or open space providing opportunities to interact with nature. In truth, there are more people out there that walk and enjoy nature than there are golfers. We also know that without certainty as to the future of this land, future home buyers will not get the comfort they need to help support increased values.
The assisted living facility has been designed to sit in the middle of the driving range first fairway area with large setbacks all around in recognition that this is a more intense use than the surrounding single-family residential. These setbacks will help mitigate visual, noise, and light pollution that may be generated by the facility. However, assisted living is a relatively quiet use and a light traffic generator, as many of the residents of assisted living obviously no longer drive, and trips are mainly staff and visitors. Independent living, which is also part of this proposal, is on the low end of a regular single-family development as far as trips generated, so meaning slightly less traffic would come out of that than if it were a non-age restricted community. Lighting will be subject to the town's stringent outdoor lighting code and will be downward directed with the minimal amount required for safety, mostly low bollard style lighting in the parking lots. Delivery trucks will be daytime only, and we can limit the delivery hours through the PAD amendment to ensure that this can be enforced. I've worked on a number of assisted living projects over the years, and operators have assured me that emergency vehicles with lights and sirens are not significantly more prevalent than in other neighborhoods. Obviously, in the case of a dire emergency, they may need to employ lights and sirens, but often in less critical cases, they are not used in neighborhoods out of respect for the residents of the area. This is a pretty standard practice, but we can also ask the future owner or operator to work with emergency providers to limit lights and sirens unless they're absolutely needed for safety. Part of Oro Valley's process includes the preparation of view simulations to show the assisted living's potential impact on views from selected areas surrounding the site. So we will be doing those. However, the building is only proposed to be 2 stories at the front portion, stepping down to single story at the back. That relatively short building height, coupled with the large setbacks, will mitigate impact on views. For the other uses, we can also identify areas that may be useful to have view simulations to demonstrate setbacks, and we're happy to discuss areas where single-story height restrictions are appropriate. Throughout the development, no building is proposed to exceed 2 stories. Again, select areas that abut existing single-story homes may be limited to single-story. We plan to address these in more detail when we get to the smaller group meetings, which will be focused in on individual projects and meet with the adjacent and nearby property owners. We feel that the smaller group meetings will provide us a valuable opportunity to get into specifics, things like buffer widths, vegetation, and walls. All areas have unique characteristics, and we believe that these focus groups are a better forum to discuss the types of buffers that work best in each situation. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation. That said, recognizing that we are in the middle of an existing neighborhood, the site plan was developed with surrounding densities and buffers in mind. For the driving range and first fairway area, we incorporated larger buffers for the assisted living use in light of the fact that it is a more intensive use than single-family residential. For the single-family residential option, we've provided a minimum 50-foot buffer all the way around the site, and that increases substantially on the west side, where the green belt and pathway is proposed, ranging from about 100 feet to well over 200 feet in some areas. The lot sizes are designed with a minimum of 60 feet by 120 feet, or 7,200 square feet. In comparison, the Fairfield lots immediately to the north range generally from 7,000 to 8,000 square feet, with some of the corner lots going up to 10,000 square feet. Sienna lots are a little larger in the 10,000 square foot range. Cortona's lots are smaller, around 5,000 square feet, and Summit North and Center Point are generally 9,000 to 10,000 square feet, again with some of the corner lots being larger. For the casita style development, as I mentioned in our previous presentation, this area is completely surrounded by major washes, so it does not abut any existing development. For the fourplex units, we have modeled those after the existing golf villas, so the intent is for these to be very similar in density to what is already there. For this area along Rancho Vistoso, minimum lot size is 70 by 130 or 9,100 square feet, which is similar to the new Richmond American community next door. However, the northern row lots have been increased in size as a transition to the larger Stonegate lots to the north. We also have 4 3/4 acre plus custom lots across the wash to the west. On the south, we are also showing 60 by 120 foot lots or 7,200 square feet minimum, which are similar to the adjacent lots and those in Center Point. In comparison, Bella Vista's lots abutting this parcel are 6,000 to 7,000 square feet. Center Point's Summit South's adjacent lots are generally 70 by 130 or 9,100 square feet, and Stone Terrace's adjacent lots in this area are about 10,000 to 12,000 square feet. One of the requirements for any subdivision or development in the town is that we provide detailed information about drainage and stormwater runoff. Leaving the major washes as open space is one component of that plan. Additionally, we cannot increase or decrease flows exiting the property as a result of our development, so we cannot create drainage problems for adjacent property owners. Therefore, we'll be doing increasingly more detailed drainage studies as we get further along in the development process, and we'll need to demonstrate how we are dealing with runoff, be it through drainage basins, channels, water harvesting, or simply directing flows into the existing natural washes. The WLB group is on our team to provide these services. They have been working in Rancho Vistoso from the beginning and have excellent knowledge and data on the area. It has been pointed out that there are various existing easements for drainage. Our engineers are aware of these and are prepared to address and adjust those if and when needed.
The fourth question is, what is the development-related plan to permanently protect the remaining open space, and what measures will be taken to maintain wildlife connections?
As part of this proposal, Romspen's intent is to turn the ownership of the open space over to a third party. That third party is yet to be determined, but it could mean the town, a land trust, the homeowners association, or another entity such as a 501c3 set up for that purpose. As an added layer of protection, a deed restriction could be placed over that land that limits future requests to modify the land use and requires the property to remain as open space. There were a couple questions about the property's general plan and PAD designations for this open space area. We support whatever designations are appropriate to preserve that area as open space. From reading the comments, it appears that several people have different ideas of what these areas should be in the future, be it active parks, playgrounds, or simply natural desert with passive recreation. As Romspen's intent is to turn that area over to be used as a public amenity, we will leave that decision to the town and you, the community. As you can see on our preliminary site plan, in addition to the portions of the site that are intended to be restricted as open space, there's also a considerable amount of area that would be set aside as open space within the areas proposed for development. We have indicated the largest of the washes on the site, but there are actually other washes that have been planned around and would be maintained as wildlife corridors. Also, part of this plan is to retain a contiguous greenbelt and pedestrian path through the former golf course, which will also serve as wildlife connections, especially for smaller species of wildlife to move freely from area to area.
The next question is, how does the plan help address recreation area and park needs in Rancho Vistoso? What are you doing to maintain the golf course land now and into the future without development? As part of Romspen's development applications, what are the future plans for the following? The trail system, the decaying fairways and greens, the lake, and restrooms.
This proposal is to deed over 115 acres of the former golf course for open space to a public or quasi-public entity. This area consists of a series of larger open spaces connected by a green belt and the existing cart path, or where there was proposed development, a relocated path and green belt, which will be constructed by the developer. In addition to this dedication, the projects proposed will have recreation areas that address the individual needs of the development. For example, the casitas and townhomes will have their own recreation areas to serve their residents. Assisted living would have specialized areas for their residents, and the single family may have pocket parks or small amenity areas, in addition to being able to use the public open space and parks. It should be noted that Romspen has been working diligently with the town to ensure that a safety level of maintenance is maintained. Clearing of brush, excessive weeds, and dead trees, especially where they're near homes and could present a fire hazard, has been done over the years, and certainly during the upcoming dry season will continue. And this will all be overseen by the town's fire and building inspection teams. This proposal is intended to get Romspen out of the ownership of the property and recoup some of their losses, but in no way will it make them whole. Romspen does not have the funding, nor will the proposed developments produce the level of revenue needed to fully fund the full restoration of the golf course to native desert. Also, it is not clear at this time that the public necessarily wants the entire course to return fully to native desert. The community needs to come together to develop a plan for this 115 acres so that it provides the type of amenities desired by the residents. The irrigation system from this golf course is, to the best of our knowledge, intact and could potentially be used to maintain turf in select areas and to establish other plantings. Likewise, the pond levels have dropped because the water has been turned off. Some maintenance and repair may be needed, but restoration of the pond is certainly something that we would expect to see as part of the public amenity in the future. We agree this area has great potential to become a community amenity to be enjoyed by everyone, which is why we have removed proposed development from this area and proposed to deed it over as part of the open space. Regarding the existing restrooms, they are all located in areas proposed for development, but we will explore further to see if it's possible to maintain any of them as an amenity to the walking path. Of course, as I presented before, we are committed to providing the community with a continuous greenbelt pathway system. So in these areas where the existing golf cart paths would need to be relocated to accommodate the proposed development, that would be done at the developer's expense.
To answer the next question is Ms. Christy Diaz-Trahan, the town's Parks and Recreation Director. That question is, there aren't enough recreation areas in Rancho Vistoso, so why doesn't the town purchase the Vistoso Golf property as a public park?
Thank you, Mr. Spaeth. Before I address the question, I want to be sure everyone is aware that Rancho Vistoso is a planned area development consisting of 7,626 acres. It was established in 1987 and includes specific criteria related to park amenities. Section 1.1a, Introduction, states, Rancho Vistoso is envisioned as a totally self-sufficient community, including residential uses of all types, neighborhood and community shopping, and retail, schools, parks, churches, natural open space, a trail system, a resort hotel, a town center, and an adult community and office park. Section 1.2a2, Objectives, states, this plan establishes a proximity of home, workplace, and recreation opportunity and a hierarchy of developed recreation facilities to meet anticipated community needs. Now, back to the question first. There aren't enough recreation areas in Rancho Vistoso. The Rancho Vistoso Community Association website notes, and I quote, there are numerous natural areas throughout the community that include natural paths that traverse the community north to south, Major thoroughfares also include bikeways to non-motorized transportation. It further notes 11 parks in Rancho Vistoso, 10 of which are owned by the association, and 1 Honeybee Canyon Park owned by the town of Oro Valley. I think you would agree that the PAD requirements for recreation have been met through the growth and development of this community. I also want to let you know that there will be another large community-owned park located near Moore Road and Rancho Vistoso Boulevard that will be coming online soon. The second half of the question, so why doesn't the town purchase the Vistoso Golf property as a public park? As many of you know, the Parks and Recreation Department is in the process of developing a master plan. The intent of this plan is to guide the town in future park development, programs, and events that meet the desires of Oro Valley residents. Furthermore, this plan must be both implementable and fiscally sustainable. The first phase of the plan, a needs assessment, kicked off in December 2019. The assessment includes extensive community engagement to include a statistically valid survey, a recreation trends analysis, and facility assessments. We anticipate a final report of Phase 1 to be presented to Council on May 20th. Phase 2 will include, among other things, a resource funding analysis, funding strategies, and of course, a conceptual site plan. This long-range plan will prioritize investments in currently owned facilities, as well as identifying opportunities for public-private partnerships and possible investment of additional park and recreation facilities. It is important to note the fiscal impact of COVID-19 is unknown at this time. This will be addressed in Phase 2 of the plan and will include funding prioritization. At this point, we do not anticipate acquisition of additional facilities. We need to address build-out and maintenance of existing facilities first. Again, the final master plan must be implementable and sustainable. For more information, please visit planyourparksov.com.
Mr. Paul Kiesler, the town engineer, will now address the following question about traffic. What is in a traffic study, and would new traffic create congestion and impact vehicular and pedestrian safety?
What does the town require and analyze in regards to a traffic study? Essentially, we look at 5 major aspects of vehicular traffic. First, total traffic generation. This is the total of existing traffic, often referred to as background traffic, and the amount of traffic that will be added to the surrounding street network with the proposed development. By itself, this is meaningless, but in combination with the next 3 aspects, it creates an understanding of real impact that the surrounding street network will experience. Secondly, traffic distribution. Once we understand how much traffic will be generated, it is distributed around all the various ingress-egress points to the surrounding street network, and then to its natural directional distribution within the street system. This directional distribution is based on the ratio of existing background traffic flow volume ratios and the ease of access from internal project locations. So we mimic both driver behavior to find the most efficient route to the major arterial network, such as Rancho Vistoso Boulevard and La Cañada Drive, as well as the historical background traffic directional patterns. Third, with both the total traffic generation as well as the traffic distribution determined, we apply ITE, Institute of Transportation Engineers, peak volume calculations to understand the development's impact to the surrounding street system during the busiest time. Fourth, with all the previously mentioned information and analysis, we can determine the surrounding impacted intersections' level of service. Technically, level of service is directly related to the amount of time one waits at an intersection before they can pass through. Rated on a scale of A through F, the longer one waits at an intersection, the greater the chance an unsafe decision to go will be made, which is statistically related to intersection crash incidents. In addition, and particular to this proposal, given its location within the middle of a residential area, level of service will also translate to the amount of congestion that can occur on the surrounding collector streets. These streets include Vistoso Highlands Drive, Pebble Creek Drive, Desert Fairway Drive, Hidden Spring Drive, and La Cañada, north of Moore Road. The town requires that new development mitigates its impacts to surrounding intersections and be responsible for whatever improvements are required returning the various intersections to their existing level of service. All of the above-mentioned streets intersecting with each other will be studied, as well as the intersection of Vistoso Highlands Drive and Rancho Vistoso Boulevard. Fifth and lastly, we will look at the proposed new intersection impacts. The developer is proposing new intersections accessing Vistoso Highlands Drive, Pebble Creek Drive, and Desert Fairway Drive. The next major question has been, what will the traffic impacts be for the proposed development? With any new development, there'll be an increase in traffic. However, if the impacts to the level of service are mitigated, then the actual traffic flow will not experience increased congestion. The required mitigation measures are focused on returning the flow of traffic back to its pre-existing condition. We'll better understand all the impacts to the street network as well as the necessary mitigation measures when the traffic impact analysis is completed. Of special note, Desert Fairway Drive has experienced an increase of traffic volume due to the presence of a recently constructed public school. The town nor the developer have the authority or control over the presence of the school traffic, and as such, the town cannot require the developer to mitigate anything beyond the impacts caused by their specific development. The developer will be responsible for whatever measures are needed to restore the level of service and traffic congestion to today's level. And lastly, how will pedestrian safety be addressed? This proposal does not negatively impact pedestrian safety. All intersections where pedestrians cross traffic are either controlled via signal or stop sign, except the new trail crossings on La Cañada, Vistoso Highlands, and Pebble Creek Drives. At the new trail intersections with the street network, proper pedestrian crossings will need to be analyzed and established. Other than intersection crossing points, pedestrian travel routes are provided by either sidewalks or multi-use paths, separating them completely from vehicular travelways.
To answer the next question is Mr. Peter Abraham, the Town of Oro Valley Water Utility Director. That question is, what is the impact on our water supply?
To fully understand the water question, we have to go back 24 years. The Oro Valley Water Utility was created in May of 1996 when the town purchased the Cañada Hills Water Company and the Rancho Vistoso Water Company. At that time, the only source of water available for delivery was groundwater, and the demands placed on Oro Valley's aquifer was an unsustainable 2.1 billion gallons per year. Thanks to the utility's forward thinking and the support of the town's governing body, the utility was authorized to make the capital investments necessary, as well as enter into the various contracts and agreements that allow for the delivery of other sources of supply besides groundwater. In 2005, the water utility began making deliveries of reclaimed water to turf customers to irrigate golf courses, parks, and athletic fields. Then, in 2012, the utility began making deliveries of a portion of the utility's Central Arizona Project, CAP, water entitlement. Additionally, the water utility has been storing all of its unused CAP water allocation in nearby underground recharge facilities. This effort to utilize water resources other than groundwater has been so successful that since 1996, the utility has reduced its groundwater pumping by over 30%. This is even more impressive when you consider that the population has more than doubled since that time. This trend will continue. We have the capacity to meet the water resource needs of the community to town build out while still storing water in underground storage facilities for the future. How will we do this? With the completion of the Northwest Recharge Recovery and Delivery System project in 2024, the utility will begin making additional CAP deliveries. You may ask, how reliable is CAP water as a source of supply? The water utility has an entitlement of CAP water and a contract with CAP to deliver it. As a municipal water provider, the utility is among the highest priority users of CAP water. If curtailments in deliveries were to ever happen, Oro Valley would be among the last to see reductions of deliveries. The Oro Valley Water Utility developed a strategic plan for water supply sustainability to comply with regulatory requirements of the Arizona Department of Water Resources, ADWR. This plan includes a comprehensive water supply and demand analysis for Oro Valley and creates a framework for addressing the town's future water supply needs. The town demonstrated to ADWR that it had a 100-year water supply when considering current and committed demands, as well as future growth projections. As a result, the town of Oro Valley has been designated by ADWR as having an assured and adequate water supply for the water utility's entire service area for a period of 100 years. The town's diligence in securing, managing, and conserving its water resources have been so successful that the water utility delivers less total water resources per year than it did over a decade ago. This leaves enough resource availability to support the town's future growth, even if the current CAP drought contingency plans go into effect. Whatever the region's water supply challenges may be, the town of Oro Valley is well positioned to successfully meet those challenges to ensure and sustain the town's quality of life, public health, and economic vitality now and in the future.
Finally, I will answer the two remaining questions regarding the general plan and this process. The first question is, why change the voter-approved Your Voice, Our Future general plan? We are often asked how town council can make amendments to the voter-approved Your Voice, Our Future general plan. The quick answer is, it was specifically designed to do so for land use amendments. The framers, teams of Oro Valley residents, wish to deeply involve neighbors most impacted by any site-specific proposal. By state law, property owners have the right to request a general plan land use change to their private property, known as a general plan amendment. The Your Voice, Our Future general plan goes further by intentionally favoring review of individual amendments throughout the life of the plan because it involves robust public engagement by neighbors most affected by a proposal, as shown on the slide. Teams of residents who worked on the plan recognize that community participation for individual applications results in a much greater level of targeted involvement than proposing a final and fixed large map in the general plan. The extensive level of community interest and focus on this application is further proof that they were right. With that in mind, the plan includes amendment criteria for evaluating amendment proposals, which include general conformance with the vision, guiding principles, goals, and policies of the general plan, a thorough review of how neighbor concerns have been addressed by the applicant as part of their proposal, and for non-residential amendments, an evaluation of whether or not it contributes to the long-term stability of the town. The last question is, why is the process not being paused until after the COVID-19 pandemic is over and the alternative methods for public participation limit engagement? It is important to establish that this request is to develop private property. All property owners have the right to request review of their development proposal. This is not the town's proposal, it is the property owners. The town is required to provide due process in a timely manner as prescribed by state law. Furthermore, state law requires all major general plan amendments, this is one of two we expect to receive this year, to be presented at a single public hearing in the same calendar year in which they are submitted. This means the application must be presented to Town Council no later than December of this year. At that meeting, Town Council may choose to approve, deny, or continue the application, but it must be presented to Town Council this year. There has been a lot of concern that not holding an in-person neighborhood meeting due to the COVID-19 pandemic would result in very little information sharing and participation. This is understandable because this is the first time that we have used videos in this manner. For all projects, the first in-person neighborhood meeting is primarily used to learn what is proposed and why. Most importantly, it kickstarts community questions and comments. It is safe to say the results of the video have been beyond what could be accomplished in a first in-person neighborhood meeting. As mentioned earlier, the first video has been seen over 1,400 times by a total of over 1,100 viewers. Over 1,100 questions and comments have been received in an orderly and convenient manner. By these measures, the results have been beyond what any Oro Valley in-person neighborhood meeting to date has accomplished. They have enabled us to reach a broader audience, including those who are out of town or who wouldn't typically attend an in-person meeting. We understand that in-person neighborhood meetings are highly valued and intend to provide a total of 4 during August and September if it is safe to do so. Ultimately, during the public hearing, Town Council can vote to approve, deny, or continue the applicant's proposals. The extent of public participation is always a factor in their decision. Lastly, it is worth noting the town is expecting 2 general plan amendments this year. Both applications are using the alternative public participation methods during this time of social distancing. This is not specifically unique to the Vistoso Golf application. Thank you very much everyone for your answers to these frequently asked questions. Please go to ovprojects.com to review all the comments and frequently asked questions provided to date. You can see what your neighbors are saying and note common threads of concern. I hope everyone found the responses helpful and informative. As a reminder, this process is just getting started. Oro Valley is one of the few jurisdictions that invite the community into this type of process before a formal application is even received. The next meeting will be a web-based, fully interactive Zoom meeting on May 14th. Following that meeting, we will also be conducting smaller focus area meetings with groups of neighborhoods. This provides residents in those neighborhoods an opportunity to better focus on the issues and concerns affecting them. Due to the size of the property, we will be conducting a minimum of 4 focus area meetings starting in late May, running through the end of June. Notices will be provided in advance of each meeting. Use of videos has been a good vehicle to get information out to a lot of folks, including those who normally would not attend an in-person neighborhood meeting. They are, however, not a replacement for in-person neighborhood meetings. Again, we anticipate conducting those in August and September of this year if it is safe to do so. Otherwise, additional web-based, fully interactive Zoom meetings will be offered. I have included some pertinent information on the slide on how to use the Zoom software regardless of whether you need to participate via computer, mobile app, or phone. Please go to ovprojects.com to view more information about how to use the Zoom software. I would like to conclude by thanking everyone for the high level of engagement and number of questions and comments provided. Please continue to make your voice heard over the course of this process. The town invites all of you to keep sharing your questions and comments on ask@orovalleyaz.gov. All questions and comments will continue to be posted on the projects page on ovprojects.com. Again, this is just the second step in the process, and we are only using video to do this because of the COVID-19 pandemic and social distancing guidelines. Additional information has been posted on ovprojects.com, and it will be continually updated as the town receives a formal application and additional information. The deadline for general plan amendment submittals is April 30th, and we expect the associated rezoning application, which will include the studies discussed, by early June. Please use ask@orovalleyaz.gov and ovprojects.com throughout this process to stay informed. We will continue to notify property owners who received a yellow postcard and post the property with yellow signs for upcoming events. If you wish to receive a postcard and did not for this video, please reach out via ask@orovalleyaz.gov and provide your name and address, and we will ensure that you are notified next time. Again, the next opportunity for input is at the interactive Zoom meeting on May 14th. Please follow the information shown on the screen or go to ovprojects.com for more information on how to either create an account or log in. The meeting ID and/or phone number required to join is provided on the screen as well. Thank you for your care and consideration, especially in these challenging times. It is important to hear your comments and questions early and often. The extent of community participation is what makes Oro Valley a special place. Community input has shaped every general plan amendment and rezoning application in Oro Valley, just as it will on this project. We hope to see you at the interactive Zoom web-based meeting on May 14th.